Rev up your engine. Okay, here we have an interesting thing. It's a Chevy Avalanche. It's got some interesting features. The guy just bought it for $4 grand. It's only got 100,000 miles, and check it out. It's a German Avalanche. Look at this. Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Well, at least the license plate's from Germany. These are interesting trucks. Shame they don't make them anymore. A lot of people like short beds. It's got a long bed too. Check it out. Right here, you're gonna see something cool. The seat's up, and you flip the seats down. Then you remove the glass. Yes, the glass is removable. Clips down. Has a little place it fits into. They thought of everything. And down it comes. Now you got a long bed. Look at that. Now you got all kinds of room. Pretty interesting idea. And since it's all plastic, you don't have to worry about it all rotting away. Hey, that was a pretty good idea. Now we only paid $4 grand for it used, and it's actually in pretty good shape. We look under the hood. Got the classic V8 engine in it. Automatic transmission. This particular one is 4-wheel drive. It's got a little over 100,000 miles. Doesn't burn oil. These are very good engines. And the thing about it is, he's worried about the transmission because he's heard bad things about them. Still working okay now, but there's so many of these things out there. For example, the Suburbans, Tahoes, Denali's. Matter of fact, his back seats are leather now. He got them in a junkyard for 60 bucks and they're in pretty good shape. There's a lot of stuff that'll fit these things. As we go inside, it's a typical Chevy truck. Sounds solid. Got all the usual gauges, speedometer, tachometer, temperature, water temperature, oil pressure. Pretty well set up, and you can see you got a lot of space to put stuff in with that dropping back. This started in New York State, so the bell is certainly tolling for it in terms of rust. They will rust. There's a little rust here, but when we go around, you can see in here, there's quite a bit of rust. Somebody's put some tape and stuff on it, but he said the only thing holding this on is a bungee cord, otherwise the plastic will all flop out, and you can see it rotting here. As we climb under, there's a lot of superficial rust, but the frame itself is still rock solid. They put pretty good frames on these things. The only problem is you'll find all the ancillary things like these torsion bar mounts and shocks, all that stuff's eventually gonna have to be replaced if you drive it too long, because eventually all that bare metal is gonna break off piece by piece. But as I told the owner, since they fit so many different vehicle parts, contact some southern junkyards and get parts from them. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of stuff that'll fit this. Now you can see the spare tire's long gone. There's nothing there but the little crazy rod that they have that hold them on. Those always break anyways. And you can see the wheels are pitted from the salt in the winter, but you can always do them over if you want to. So let's start it up, see what it sounds like. Change engine oil. It's telling us to change the engine oil. Now it sounds like a typical V8. Doesn't burn any oil. And you're always going to see superficial corrosion up north. All the aluminum parts, they're going to corrode. Doesn't mean anything. As long as it's not rotting through. Just superficial rust. Now we're going to run my giant scan tool on to check it out. He's worried about transmission problems, so we'll check that all out. But even if it went out, there's so many of them out here. They can be rebuilt so easily, it's not that big of a deal if it finally did go out on you to just have it repaired or replaced. Here we have it's communicating, auto diagnose, and here we go. Doing this thing, and the AC still works. I'm going to turn it off. It's cold enough. We don't need any more. It's got a sliding sunroof too. The cloth seats in the front, but he put leather seats in the back that are folded down now. Because he got them, like I said, for 60 bucks in a junkyard. So far so good. Everything is green. One more system to do. It's green so far. Everything's green. So now let's just look at some data. Well, since there's no trouble codes, we'll look at live data. It's older, so it's kind of slow. It'll take a little while to get the information. And here we go. We'll start looking at the data. Color coded, there's no bad codes. Not bad for 100,000 miles. The short-term fuel term bank 1 is 0. And on bank 2 it's 0. Now it's 2, not much difference. Now it's 4, moves around a little bit. But that's the short term. Now, long term is 21%. In the long term, it's adding quite a bit of fuel, so it's running somewhat lean. Now that's no surprise, he recently got it. Probably needs to be driven out, the carbon blown out of the engine. So we're gonna try Bernie's fuel cleaner in this and take it for a spin. See if it makes the fuel trim come closer to zero instead of having to add a bunch of fuel. The fuel injectors could be clogged up. Typical on these Vortex systems, they will do that as they age, especially if they sit a lot, and this seems to have sat for quite some time before he bought the thing. We'll go further down. That looks good. Now we'll look at some more data. We'll go into the fuel trim more. Short term is fine, but the long term, it's adding 21% fuel. So we're going to put some cleaner in, take it for a spin. Before we do that, we'll look at some transmission data. All black. That's good. This hasn't gone too far to trip any codes or to show that there's a problem. So we get Bernie's cleaner here. Pour it in and we'll take it for a spin. Pour the whole thing in. He's a man who takes after me. This kept falling in, so he put a couple of wood screws in it. Hey, it doesn't fold in anymore. Perfectly fine, you know. Look, it's already starting to go down. It's at 17 now. It's down to 14 now. Down to 15 now. Okay, so what did we learn? You can still get a decent truck for $4 grand. The cleaner's already making it get more towards zero already. From 20s down to 15. It'll probably get better as time goes on. This is just a short trip, right? Now, don't go out and think you're gonna throw cleaner and everything, it'll fix everything. I don't use cleaner in my own cars because I don't have any problems. I clean the oil right, but it made sense here. We don't know how long this thing sat, what kind of shape the injectors were in, and it's doing its thing. Don't think, oh, I gotta buy this stuff and stick it in every time I fill up with gas. No, you're throwing your money away then. You want to do it when you got a problem. Something like this that might have sat for a long time. It's fixed the problem. For $4 grand, he's got a pretty cool little truck that runs like a top now. And it's a Chevy, so it gets bad gas mileage. That's just the way a V8 engine goes. You can't have everything, right? But you can pull stuff with it. You put a different hitch because the old hitch was all rotten away. And he got a great truck for $4 grand with only 100,000 miles. So keep looking. You never know what you're going to find. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Hailey Zenderang says, how can I check if my oxygenal sensors are working with live data? Here's the problem. You're talking about a regular scan tool like the one on the wall behind me, right? Those scan tools are so slow at refreshing themselves. It's almost impossible. I mean, if your oxygen sensor is entirely dead, and the data's flatline, it's just a flat line going across and it never changes, obviously it's got a problem, right? It's got no voltage, obviously there's a problem. Either it's not getting voltage that you'd have to check, or it's broken and isn't feeding back. A mechanic like myself can check it, but I've got a freeze frame oscilloscope with 6 channels, and I can hook that up to the oxygen sensors and get actual live time data. I mean, maybe it's off by a few nanoseconds or something, but it's pretty live data, and I can see, is it really working right? You can't get all the glitches with live data on a scan tool because the refresh rate is too slow. You're getting information, and it's good information for what it does. But for analyzing oxygen sensors, unless they're completely shot, it isn't good enough. Jonathan Anderson said, what do you think of the Jeep Wrangler with a Hemi, the 392? Interesting technology, right? They're fast as can be, but they're dangerous as can be too. Those things are high up in the air. They don't corner all that well in the first place. You put a Hemi in those things, you're asking for trouble. My grandson bought an old one, it had an old V8 in it. I only paid $1,500 for it. It was a beat up pile of junk. I took it out on the road. I made a video on it. Search some of my videos, you'll see me driving down the road in that thing. Scared the heck out of me. That V8 was just too much power for that little Jeep. Originally, the Willys Jeep, World War II, they had a little bitty 4-cylinder engine. You could barely go 50 miles an hour, you know? You put a big shoehorn V8 into that thing, you're asking for trouble. Especially since a lot of young guys buy them and they want to show off and they're going to flip off and they're going to fly out. Too much power for a Jeep type vehicle. B calls to Scotty, I got 2017 Honda CRV, 100,000 miles. Should I have the timing chain replaced? Dealer says it'll last the lifetime of the car. What does he mean by the lifetime of the car, right? Well, the chain's broken, now the car's lifetime's gone, you got to buy another one. Hondas make probably one of the best engines, if not the best engines in the world. They generally do not have timing chain problems. I would not. If your car's running fine, doesn't make odd noises, I would leave it alone. Change your oil regularly. The oil is what lubricates the chain, so it will continue to last. It's not like a rubber timing belt that's rubber that'll rot and crack, right? It's a different scenario. What you want to do is listen to the noise. Long before you're going to have any problems, if the timing chain has stretched or the tensioner isn't working, start it up in the morning, you'll hear it clacking around inside. Then you know, oh, what's that noise? Take it to a guy like me. I'll say, well, your timing chain tensioner is probably wearing out on a Honda because the chains generally don't. You can just change the tensioner. But if the chain is worn out, you can't replace it. But it'll make noise long before you got any kind of problems in a Honda. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.